In order to heal your gut and autoimmune diseases, we need to rewire your subconscious mind. And in the first day of my 13-day protocol, which you're getting right here for free, I am going to rewire one critical belief that if you do not have, it is literally impossible to get better. This video is going to instill this belief deep down in your subconscious. If you do not have this belief, it is impossible to get better. And I have helped many people get better from IBS, Crohn's, colitis, leaky gut, SIBO with my 13-day protocol, Candida, celiac diverticulitis. This video, if you have any of these conditions, apply to you. You can get better using my 13-day protocol if you have any of these conditions. You're not sure what diet, you're undiagnosed, but you're having a bunch of symptoms. This video is for you as well. Now, I'm also going to be telling you about how great my 13-day protocol is and that you should buy it. But even with that, even if you don't plan on, getting my protocol, you will never get better if you do not have this one belief in your head that this first day is going to drill deep into your subconscious. You need to have it. This video is part of the therapy. It is part of the cure. We need to rewire your subconscious. A traumatic event altered your subconscious. We need to fix that. My 13-day protocol fixes that rewiring that happened during the traumatic event. You are literally one aha moment. You're literally one realization away from having this nightmare be over. And what my 13-day protocol does is that it takes you through a series of aha moments that rewire your subconscious mind. Now, all these testimonials you're seeing, these are people who have tried all the drugs. They've tried all the diets. They've tried all the supplements. Nothing was working until they did my 13-day protocol and they rewired their subconscious mind. This is a testimonial, if you can call it that, from one of my competitors. I've done your program for 2 years. It costs $3,000 to start off with. You have to buy a $500 worth of supplements every month. I was finally able to travel to Europe. I wasn't able to eat the tasty pizza, the tasty foods. I couldn't have croissants in France. I couldn't have pizza and pasta in Italy. I had to search and hunt for organic grocery stores and all that. That sounds absolutely miserable to me. Most people by day 3 in my protocol can eat whatever they want. I've heard many people day 3, day 7, something clicks in their head where all of their food intolerances go away and they can literally eat whatever they want without any symptoms. Most holistic programs, they're going to promise you, as long as you follow this boring diet, you won't have symptoms. That's like a plumber coming over to your house to fix your hot water, and his fix is just don't use hot water. Just suffer and use cold water for the rest of your life. I would rather use cold water for the rest of my life in my showers than have to be on these boring holistic diets for the rest of my life. And most of the times, they just help with the symptoms. They don't fully get rid of the symptoms. And if you go back on these diets, you try to have cake on your birthday, the symptoms just come raging back. This guy fixed his gut microbiome. He fixed his constipation. He fixed his bloating. This person fixed his Crohn's and arthritis and gained 35 pounds in just a few months. Stomach ulcers, heartburn, acid reflux, H. pylori, all gone. Anxiety, fatigue, and depression. My protocol helps with that as well. Being able to travel and being able to actually enjoy the foods with your friends, your family, your boyfriend or your girlfriend. Traveling isn't fun unless you get to enjoy the foods to where you're going to travel. This was somebody who had flare-ups for over 14 years. They had 2 flares that were so bad, he could do this and like his leg, he could fit his leg within his fingers right here. He was so skinny. Now he had a birthday recently, and he drank a whole bottle of whiskey. He woke up the next morning. He was a little hungover, but he had a perfectly formed stool, and this person pooped nothing but blood for years. This 13-day protocol will help heal any skin issues you had. I had horrible acne, and it will help. It's impossible to excel in your career when you're investing all of your time, in trying to fix your health issues. You just can't compete with the people who don't have health issues and they can put all their time and their energy into their career and make more money or schooling. Growing up, I had gut issues. I probably had gut issues since the age of 4. They got really bad in high school and college. But after 10 years of doing all sorts of holistic stuff, I barely weighed 150 pounds. Sometimes I'd get up to 160. But anytime I had cake on my birthday, I would lose all that weight and all that progress. But now that I've done the things inside the 13-day protocol and I've rewired my subconscious mind so that this past trauma isn't constantly putting my gut in and out of overdrive, I weigh about 190. I weigh 200 pounds. I eat whatever I want. And I'm just fine. I don't have any gut symptoms whatsoever. To most of you, I don't believe that. You only had IBS, blah, blah, blah. I had Crohn's, colitis, gastritis, SIBO, candida, like you name it, I had it. They did an endoscopy. They found inflammation in my stomach. They did a colonoscopy. They found inflammation in all parts of my colon except for the transverse colon right here. And we did an MRI of my small intestine, and I had inflammation all throughout my small intestine. And I tried antibiotics, I tried pills, I tried biologics, which are chemotherapy on paper. When they come through a bill, it's like a chemotherapy drug. I did that for a year. It did absolutely nothing but drain my bank account, did absolutely nothing for my symptoms. So right now, I do not take any drugs. I do not do any diets. I do a few supplements, not much though. When I started doing the things inside my 13-day protocol, within 2 to 3 months, it was like it never happened. Eating whatever I want, eating the tastiest foods that I loved since childhood. You name a diet, I've tried. If I haven't tried it, I've seen somebody try it. I've been doing this for a very long time, and I've tried almost every natural remedy you can think of, from enemas. I quit my job and I worked on an organic farm for a couple of years. I tried acupuncture. I tried red light therapy. I tried hyperbolic oxygen chambers. I tried yoga. I tried cold therapy. Like you name it, I have tried it. I have tons of testimonials to prove that this works. And these are true testimonials. Most of the testimonials you see from other gut health programs, it's like, oh, as long as I follow this boring, bland diet, I don't have symptoms. And that's really not true. They still have symptoms, even following the diet. And then if they go off the diet, they have cake on their birthday, they go out on a date, they try to have, a glass of wine or a glass of beer, or have dessert with their date or their boyfriend, their girlfriend, their wife, their husband, their symptoms come roaring back. These are all testimonials of people who drugs didn't work, diets didn't work, disinfecting didn't work, probiotics didn't work, antibiotics didn't work. But when they reprogrammed their subconscious mind with my 13-day protocol, their symptoms literally went away in a few days. They were able to eat their favorite foods and get back to their normal life again. Imagine how good your life would be without having diarrhea 100 times a day. You can just live life. You could just leave the house like a normal person and get on with your life. No more crippling gut pain. No more canceling plans with friends. These are all, we all have the same biology. We all have the same body. And there's just a switch in our subconscious. I need to switch. The only way I can do that is with the words and the images that I share with you in the videos of my 13-day protocol, in the workbook of my 13-day protocol. This video is the cure. This video is part of the therapy. And right now I'm programming the most important belief you need to have in order to heal your gut. Because if you don't believe this one thing, you won't invest the energy required to do the proper work. If you're constantly putting all your energy into focusing on what foods I should or shouldn't eat, or what's the next drug that's gonna help me, your brain won't allow you to invest energy in the real cure if you don't have this one belief in your head. One of the big things that modern medicine and holistic medicine get wrong is they don't even know what inflammation is. Oh, I'm eating too many inflammatory foods. Oh, I need to take this anti-inflammatory supplement or anti-inflammatory drug. What happens if you are, walking around your house and you stub your toe? It's going to become injured, and then your toe is going to become inflamed. That inflammation is healing the damage that was done to your toe. Inflammation operates the exact same way everywhere in the body. Oh, but chronic inflammation, oh, that's bad. Yeah, it's not good, but that just means you're constantly injuring that organ somehow. I'm going to get to this. Something is constantly injuring your gut? It's not food. It's not infection. Hint, hint. Something is constantly injuring your gut. Inflammation is healing. Inflammation is your body's response to injury. So if you're trying to treat inflammation, you're never going to get better because you're not treating the root cause. The root cause is injury. When you start to do the holistic things and you start looking at these different holistic remedies, they're like, oh, holistic, we take the whole picture into account. And then they give you some cute little graph like this. But when you start to look at their remedies, all the remedies fall into the physical. Oh, you need to change your diet. Oh, you need to take this supplement. You need to detox this. You need to detox that. Infection and fighting this. Probiotics, this and that. Everything, even though they say they're holistic and they take everything into account, they're literally only focusing on the physical. But they fail to recognize that your brain controls your whole entire body. You need to treat the brain. The brain is controlling your gut. The brain is controlling your skin. The brain controls everything in your body. So if you truly want to do a holistic treatment, you need to treat the thing that treats your whole body, which is this little thing between my ears right here. Let's say I have leaky gut, right? I have a rash on my arm, and this guy in a white coat said, oh, that's caused by leaky gut. You see what's happening is you eat a food, and the toxins, they leak into your bloodstream. They bounce into this organ, and in that tissue, the toxin bounces into that, it bounces into that, but you're only getting a rash on your left arm. That literally makes zero sense whatsoever. If that were true, I'd have rashes randomly everywhere all the time. And then I see people with histamine intolerance saying, like, I can't eat any histamine food. And then they're literally sipping on a kombucha that is the highest histamine food. And then they're eating some other histamine food. And then their logical explanation to this is, oh, everybody's different. That is not a scientific response that everybody is different. That is a cop-out. True science is understanding the true cause behind your symptoms. And then if you were to talk to this person and be like, well, when did your histamine issues started? Oh, it's like always after divorce. It's always after they lost their job. I'm not saying all stress causes disease. I'm saying somebody's disease always starts after a stressful period in their life. This is Dr. Burl Crohn right here. He lived in the 1930s. That's when he discovered Crohn's disease. But he also wrote a book on stomach ulcers. Stomach ulcers have a reputation of, people who get, don't get so angry, you're going to give yourself an ulcer. That's like a common phrase that we have in English. So this is the first page of his book on stomach ulcers. It is a disease of a tense, nervous person who lives a strenuous, worrisome life. Usually he has flares during times of extreme stress. And the intensity of the flare is determined by the intensity of the stress that this person experienced. This is the first page of his book, written like literally 100 years ago. We knew this stuff 100 years ago, even earlier than that. And the very interesting thing about stomach ulcers is you think that the stomach ulcers would occur in the stomach, but they don't. They rarely occur in the stomach. They never occur down here where most of the acid's hanging out. You think like acid's causing your stomach ulcers, but it's not. It's happening towards the top on a very specific tissue, and most of them are in the duodenum at the start of the small intestine. So most of these stomach ulcers aren't even stomach ulcers. Like 80% of the ulcers are duodenal ulcers. Why are the ulcers only forming here? Like the acid's not even really that active by the time it gets to here. The brain has a say in this, that it creates ulcers here and not here. Gastroparesis is another condition where the stomach muscles aren't working properly. Oh, you need to take some magnesium to support muscle health. Why is all the other muscles in your body working just fine? Your finger muscles are working fine. Your eye muscles are working fine. Your butt muscles are literally every muscle in your body works fine, except for your gut muscles. What is going on there? Doesn't make any sense. That explanation doesn't make any sense. Somebody with gastroparesis, they suffered a conflict of, I can't stomach this. I need more time to digest this. The muscles are actually moving in such a way to hold food in the stomach longer. And the only reason you would want to hold something in the stomach longer is to digest something better. Most of the digestion and breakdown happens in the stomach. And this doesn't have to only apply to physical food. It applies to things figuratively. Think about the language that we use. I can't stomach this. You make me sick to my stomach. I can't digest this. These phrases subconsciously come out of us. The conscious mind's a product of the subconscious mind. Every organ is a survival tool. When you experience a stressful event that threatens your survival, your body is going to put a survival tool into overdrive. It's really that simple. This is somebody who went through my 13-day protocol that had a lot of stomach issues, and now they're all gone.
Immediately the next day after I started a program, I caught on real quick to the fact that the food intolerances I had that were mainly triggering these bouts of being bedridden were just all in my head. So relieved. And I went out and ate a burger, which I hadn't done for like 5 months. It tasted awesome. It tasted amazing. Ever since then, I've been eating whatever I want.
So this is a lab study where they wanted to see the relationship between colitis and stress. And they actually got like psychologists involved to help evaluate these patients. And the psychologists kind of all laughed and they said, these people have a lot of mental issues going on. It's clear as day to us. I don't know why you need our help. When the doctors talked to the relatives of these people who were going through flares, 100% of the time, their flares lined up with a traumatic event. And a lot of the times, the patients themselves would not admit to this traumatic event. They would go, oh, that wasn't that stressful. Or they just blatantly would not remember it. It's a skill to get this traumatic event out of somebody. And this idea, Crohn's, colitis, IBS, stomach ulcers, these diseases before Big Pharma took over in the 1970s, in the 80s, they really took over. These diseases were classified as psychosomatic diseases, meaning they started after a traumatic event. Now, this is a study from The Human Colon, a book called The Human Colon. It's a really cool book. I wouldn't bother purchasing it because it doesn't really talk about how to solve anything. It kind of just shows you very clearly that stress is causing your gut issues. So this is an interview they did with somebody that lasted about 80 minutes, and they would measure, right here, they're measuring the color of the intestines. So down here, it would be a nice healthy pink color, and then up towards the top, it would be a very bright red, bleeding, super inflamed color. And then this line right here is measuring gut motility. So whether the gut muscles are moving fast or slow. And they could see this because these people's conditions were so bad, their intestines had popped out of the side of their body, and they could clearly see what was going on inside the gut. Right here, this guy, something happened with this guy's uncle. He got into a fight with his uncle. The whole time the doctors are pushing his buttons, trying to agitate this guy. And every time he gets agitated, literally within right here to here is 10 minutes. Literally within minutes, his colon went from a healthy pink color to an inflamed red color. They talked about his uncle. It got even more red and started bleeding. And then literally within 5 minutes, they started comforting him and it went back to a healthy pink color. And then 10 minutes later, they talked about this failed relationship that this guy had, and the inflammation was, and the bleeding and the redness was off the charts. And then within 5 minutes, they were reassuring him, comforting him, having him talk about his favorite things. His gut went back to a healthy pink color. And they did this over and over again with this guy multiple times. They didn't just do this interview once. They did this interview multiple times throughout like a 5-10 year period. They've done the same experiment with multiple other people, and they saw the same thing every single time. Just stressing out rats causes gut issues. This is a 2019, super recent. Again, just stressing out a rat changes the gut microbiome. This is 2022, super recent. 2022, people who have, IBD, IBS, they have much higher stress levels than the average person. Exposure to stress results in alterations to the gut-brain axis, ultimately leading to the development of IBD, IBS, and other things like GERD, ulcers, and stuff like that. There's if you just dig a little past the surface, you will see so much credible old and recent science that clearly shows that gut disease starts after a traumatic event. And there's even more science that shows that gut symptoms get much worse the more the person is stressed out. So what science really struggles with is linking it to that initial traumatic event, because it's a hard thing to get out of somebody. A lot of the times it's buried in the subconscious, but this was a pretty cool experiment where they listed all the traumatic events that caused, somebody's Crohn's disease to start. So this guy's started after retiring from the military, completing their first year of college, a death in the family, their boyfriend died, a stressful marriage, a son got injured, a bad operation, another bad operation, mother's death, a son gets arrested, a divorce, an unwanted pregnancy, a girlfriend left, a stressful marriage, a bad operation, moving to a new home, a grandmother's death, another death in the family, a divorce, a family member gets diagnosed with cancer, a stressful pregnancy, an operation, stress in the business, a stressful pregnancy, a psychotic breakdown, which is also caused by a traumatic event, moving to a new town, getting a new job, stress at work, mother gets diagnosed with cancer, starting a new school, and job stress. In almost every case, they were able to find the traumatic event that started this person's symptoms. Not all stress causes disease, but all disease, especially gut disease, starts around the time of a traumatic event. I get more into the nitty-gritty details inside my 13-day protocol. I'm just trying to keep it basic in this presentation right here. Guys, I'm holding back about 90% of the information that I have in my public content. All of my good stuff is inside the 13-day protocol. But we all have these phrases, what a load of crap, that's BS, why are you always up my butt? These phrases don't logically make sense, but we use them anyway. If these phrases are subconsciously flying out of your mouth and you experience a traumatic event, if you're saying, oh, this is crap, that's crap, what organ deals with crap? It's your colon. And how does the colon get rid of crap fast? It deals with diarrhea. Oh, I want to hold on to this thing, but I can't. Okay, constipation. We're going to hold on to this thing. And English isn't the only language that does this. Almost all languages have these weird digestion-related, crap-related phrases. And if you look at nature, most animals interact with the world through their mouth. So we like kind of subconsciously see the thing as food. And even as babies, we're constantly shoving everything into our mouth. It's this old primal subconscious programming that we're biohacking. Most of you guys are into biohacking. The most important thing that you need to hack is your primal programming. It's almost like computer code. This traumatic event triggered some code in our genes that we inherited from our ancestors, not just like, the Neanderthals, but, old life forms from millions, if not a billion years ago, to put our gut into overdrive. It was probably very helpful for them, but for us, not so much. And the only way to tell that code not to run, to put our gut into overdrive, is we have to rewire the subconscious mind. My 13-day protocol rewires your subconscious mind. So Crohn's disease is inflammation anywhere from mouth to butthole, right here. But originally, Dr. Burrell Crohn's, he wanted to call it regional ileitis, which is inflammation in the small intestine. Or the last part of the small intestine, to be more specific. The small intestine is pretty hard to see, even today. You can only see it with an MRI. Crohn's is a very messed up term, but usually Crohn's gets diagnosed when they find inflammation in the small intestine. But that's why Crohn's normally gets diagnosed when they find inflammation in the small intestine, because it's an homage to the original definition, which GI doctors are oblivious to. They probably don't even know who Dr. Crohn's is. It's ridiculous. But Dr. Burrell Crohn's did a lot of experiments on Crohn's disease. He thought it was caused by stress. He said every time somebody came in with a Crohn's flare, it was always after a traumatic event. At first, he thought it was caused by an infection, and he did multiple experiments. And he has a book called Regional Ileitis. There's a lot of things about explaining what the cause is, but almost nothing about how to solve it. But he would take the infection, right, and he would put it into rats and mice and rabbits and dogs, and they would never develop Crohn's disease. They would never develop gut issues. And he would treat the infection with antibiotics and probiotics, and these people would almost never get better. What is the survival purpose of the small intestine? It digests food. It actually it really doesn't digest food, it absorbs food. Most of the digestion and breakdown happens in the stomach. And then the intestine is absorbing food. I couldn't absorb a boyfriend or a girlfriend or money or a car or a house. There was something I couldn't absorb. There's also this condition called small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. And remember, I have never seen anybody get better from SIBO by taking antibiotics and taking probiotics afterwards. Almost never. Never. They have to rewire the subconscious mind. So we'll talk about this more later, but these bacteria and fungi, they actually come out of our own cells. I had a gut infection everywhere in my gut except for the transverse colon. I had infections before it and I had infections after it, but not in between. If these bad bacteria and fungi were as infectious as people claim they are to be, everything would be infected. But, there was patches of my gut that were not infected. Our brain has control over which bacteria and fungi that our cells produce. We are more bacteria and fungi than we are human cells. Our brain has control over the bacteria and fungi in our body. And here's a recent study from 2022 that just stressing out a rat will completely mess up its gut microbiome. Here's somebody who went through my 13-day protocol, and in just a week, all of his gut pain was gone. How many times were you going to the bathroom before you started?
Before, it was 2-3 times, but it was all diarrhea. But my main issue was pain, horrible pain. After a week, my symptoms gone completely. Everything was under control.
Food intolerances are super easy to treat. By day 3, by day 7, they're normally completely gone with my 13-day protocol. Here's some testimonials about that. This guy was on, I think, carnivore diet for years. He was absolutely miserable. Just after this guy was day 4 on my 13-day protocol. I drank 3 beers. I had a burger. The next morning, I went to Starbucks and I got an egg sandwich and all this stuff that used to kill me before. I had the nicest form stool I'd ever seen in my life. And this is somebody else. I had braised short ribs with mac and cheese last night. No issues whatsoever. You had diarrhea? How often were you going to the bathroom?
I was somewhere between 13 to 15 times a day. I just couldn't stop. Lost a bunch of weight, headaches, fatigue. My wife's a great cook, and it's delicious food, and I couldn't touch it for years. I mean, I went through this mess for like 9 years, just back and forth with different diets and medicines, and it was a nightmare. So the diarrhea actually, like with your 13-day method, and my diarrhea was gone probably halfway finishing that. I didn't even finish all 13 days, and like it was gone. I was impressed. I was like, whoa, how did this like disappear all of a sudden? Most of my food intolerances, they were gone probably within the first week or so. I'm in the opposite of a stress-free environment. Yeah, I just started a new business and everything like that, so I've got plenty of stress on my plate. But it's like you said, it's learning how to manage it, learning how to understand what the triggers actually are. Yeah, it makes all the difference.
Now, colitis. I see a lot of people treat colitis with diet. So colitis, the colon doesn't digest food. The colon primarily holds crap and it absorbs water. And the more you get towards the end of the colon, the more it is like, what is crap I want to get rid of, but I can't. And the same applies for diverticulitis. Colitis, microscopic colitis being like the least intense, then colitis, ulcerative colitis being even more intense, and then I would say diverticulitis being even more intense. The stress that the person experienced was super intense. This is somebody who was going 30 times a day. You know, he was a truck delivery driver, and he literally could not do his job because he had to pull over to a gas station 30 times a day. And within 2 weeks of doing my protocol, he had fully formed stools and he could eat whatever he wanted.
I was up all night, cramping in my bed, sweating. The night was worse because I go to sleep for an hour, wake up, go to the bathroom, go to sleep for another 30 minutes, wake up, bleed. And it was just a mess. I couldn't work. I quit my job. I just couldn't move really out of the house. I couldn't barely walk. So my wife's like, man, we need to go to the ER. And we just started looking on YouTube, first about diets. And then I just happened to come across Heal Your Gut Guy. He just came up, man. I literally started watching probably 4 or 5 of your videos. And I was like, man, I think there's really something to this. Within 2 weeks, not even out of the hospital, I just had solid stools. From April 1st to May 1st, I went from like 120 to about 148, 150, about almost 30. Actually, so
that's crazy. Wow. Now, IBS gets diagnosed when they do a colonoscopy. They don't see anything wrong with the colon. They do an MRI or an X-ray or a CAT scan of the small intestine, and they don't see anything wrong. And then they go, I don't know anything really. I'll just say you have IBS. Now, usually when somebody has IBS symptoms, it's usually their gallbladder going in and out of overdrive, and they're going to have a very biley, stinky, smelly stool. It's going to foam. It almost burns when it comes out. It's really stinky. And that's usually your gallbladder going in and out of overdrive. And the conflict for that is a territorial anger or an identity conflict. But it could also be the intestinal muscles causing your symptoms as well. And so the term irritable bowel syndrome, the first part of that word, irritable, is, this term got coined in the 70s. That irritable is more in reference to the person's personality than it is to their gut. They called it nervous bowel syndrome for a while and irritable bowel syndrome. They went back. But the name implied that the person's personality and the stress in their life was causing their gut symptoms.
Used to have IBS. I would be going to the bathroom 7 to 10 times a day, liquid stool. And now I eat whatever I want with no symptoms. And each day, 2 to 3 times a day, I go to the restroom with regular stool.
Now, infections in the gut microbiome. I went so far down the terrain theory rabbit hole, I ran into something called the somatid cycle. Now, there were some French scientists that with a special microscope, they could watch your human cells produce different types of cells. They could watch them produce yeast, which are a single-celled fungus. They could watch them produce a fungus, it was a multicellular fungus. They could watch them produce cancer cells. They could watch them produce bacteria cells and mycobacteria cells. And they watched them turn it on and turn it off. So they confirmed that these so-called bad bacteria and fungi are coming from your own cells. Why is the brain telling your gut to make these bad bacteria and fungi? They're actually the microsurgeons of the body. It is a response to stress. It is to help with the adaptation that's happening on whatever organ that's going in and out of overdrive. So I did a little at-home experiment with Candida. I bought it for like $20 online. I grew it on bread, and I would test different essential oils on it. And some essential oils did absolutely nothing, or you'd have to like pour half the bottle on it. But just like literally one drop of oregano oil, essential oil, Candida would not grow at all. So I was like, oh, this is great. I'm just going to treat people with this, and we're going to pound probiotics, and then everybody's going to be great. Nope. People still wouldn't get better. And I noticed the people that would get better, they had a better attitude about life in general. And the people who never got better, they were just miserable human beings and angry at the world or fearful of the world, and they worried all the time. The only way to fix that is to rewire somebody's subconscious. There's something going on in the subconscious that we need to fix if they're angry at the world all the time or they're worried about the world all the time. Something needs to change in the subconscious, and my 13-day protocol targets that thing that needs changing. So not only are you, with the 13-day protocol, not only are you fixing your gut so you don't have these symptoms anymore, but it's just also you're just going to live life better because you're not angry at the world and super fearful and just angry at everything all the time. Just stressing out rats completely changed their gut. There are tons of these studies. This is a very shallow dive I did here. There are tons of recent studies showing that just stressing out animals completely messes up their gut microbiome. This is somebody who was about to spend €3,000 on probiotics and infection-fighting supplements, but instead they enrolled in my program. They completely got better, and they can eat whatever they want. So what my 13-day protocol is, it's online videos, and then it comes with a workbook that you print out, and you kind of like watch the videos, and you do these exercises on the workbook. There's something about writing stuff down and like journaling and writing stuff down that really changes things in your subconscious mind. So that's why I have incorporated this workbook aspect to these videos. They're going to teach you everything you need to know. Every video, every word, every sentence, everything that I'm saying in these videos are slowly rewiring your subconscious so that you have that aha moment that switches off, that tells that primal coding to put your gut in and out of overdrive. It turns it off. All you got to do is purchase it and just do it. And it will stop your symptoms. Now, to do this with me, to do like one-on-one coaching, each day through the 13 days, it's $5,000. I'm not charging you $5,000 for this. Normally, to do this by, just to do the videos and to do it on your own is $1,000, but I have a deal coming for you, so wait. I'm not done doing what I'm doing. The idea still that I'm trying to imprint into your subconscious that is required for healing. You can't get better without this belief stuck in your head. I'm not done ramming it into your head yet. But I got a huge deal coming for you. Here's a testimonial from somebody who was days away from getting surgery, and they got better using my 13-day protocol.
It was a mountain of blood. The whole colon, it wasn't just ulcerative colitis. It was pancolitis, so it means not a single part of my intestine wasn't covered in ulcer. If this flare does not stop, they were begging me to cut out my colon. Literally, They were saying, I had my colonoscopy a month ago, and the colon is clear.
Here's another study from the human colon. They were studying this woman who got into a new marriage and the stepdaughters were just awful to her. When she started crying about talking about her stepdaughters, her gut muscles stopped moving. And so she would be constipated. And in times in life where she was constipated, she was very, very sad and depressed. But then she started talking about her stepdaughters, but in a way where she was like very hostile. She was angry. I'm going to get back at them, da 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 da. And her gut muscles started to move quickly and she would get diarrhea. So when she was sad, she had constipation. When she was angry, she had diarrhea. The gut adapted within seconds of her mood changing. And again, this isn't a random one-off study. They did this study with this person multiple times over multiple years with multiple different people. So bloating is pretty interesting, especially when you consider that your gut can put gas, your intestinal cells can put gas into your intestines. It can absorb gas, and then the gas gets thrown out through your lungs. So it can create air in the intestines, and it can take away air from the intestines. So why is it putting air in my intestines? This is not fun. And it can also, you have the intestinal muscles. All it has to do is open the intestinal muscles just a little bit, and you fart. Why are all the other muscles in my body working just fine? Why is my brain telling my intestinal muscles to trap air in my intestines? So my theory is that it's creating this pressure cooker effect. So think about the pressure cooker. So if you were to cook like ribs or something, if you were to do that without the pressure cooker, you would have to slow cook those ribs to have them be nice and soft and juicy and tender. You'd have to cook them for about 8 hours at a very low temperature. Now with the pressure cooker, so the lid traps in the air, it puts in air to make this high pressure environment, and chemical reactions happen faster under high pressure. So it takes that 8 hours of cooking and it literally brings it down to 30 minutes or to an hour, depending on what you're cooking. When you're conflict active, I want to digest and absorb this thing, but I can't, your gut goes, oh, I'll help. I'm going to make a pressure cooker in your gut. And then when the conflict gets resolved, that's when you have gas and you got to fart and you have flatulence and all that fun stuff. This is somebody who has stopped their constipation and bloating using my 13-day protocol, and they got rid of all their food intolerances. And this is somebody, every time he went to the doctor, they were like, we need to do surgery, we need to cut out this and that, you need to be on drugs for the rest of your life. And this person also worked on an organic farm for years and never got better until they did my 13-day protocol, rewired their subconscious. Anal fissures are caused by stress. Hemorrhoids are caused by stress. Perianal abscesses and fistulas are caused by stress. Bone pain and arthritis are caused by stress. There is tons and tons of science backing this up. And before Big Pharma bought out medicine and took control of the medical industry, there were a lot of medicine philosophies that linked most diseases to stressful events. Anemia and fatigue. This is somebody who was super anemic, and literally within 14 days, he had normal red blood cell levels in his blood. And he also gained 15 pounds within 2 weeks of doing my 13-day protocol. Acne is caused by stress. There's tons of science supporting this. I used to have horrible acne. Now I don't. I used to think it was caused by Coke and chocolate and all this stuff. Eating something tasty. I eat whatever I want. My skin is perfectly clear, and I don't even have a good skincare routine. I barely put anything on my face. Psoriasis and eczema. There's tons of science to back up that that's caused by a traumatic event. This is somebody who I've helped, get better from psoriasis, eczema, atopic dermatitis. Even if you have all the money in the world, if you're not rewiring your subconscious, you cannot heal your gut. So this is Corey George. He's a very successful entrepreneur, businessman. He had all the money in the world at his disposal. He did all the most expensive health things, you could think of. And, some are terrible. Some help. Some make the root cause worse. Some help. He was doing things like stem cells, which, helped a lot. But I've also seen a ton of people do stem cells and they do absolutely nothing for them. But when he started rewiring his subconscious with the 13-day protocol and dealing with these past traumatic memories locked in the subconscious, locked away deep, he's able to eat whatever he wants, looks like a normal human being, more than double how much money he makes in running his businesses and stuff like that. And this is not possible unless you rewire your subconscious mind. It is impossible. You can have the best mechanics in the world, working on your car, but if the car doesn't have oil in it, if you keep taking that car and smashing it, getting into car accidents every week, even the best mechanics can't outdo that damage. Even if you are eating the healthiest foods, the easiest to digest foods, you're doing stem cells, you have everything your body needs. The injury that is caused by putting your gut in and out of overdrive due to past trauma will undo all of the healing. Takes weeks, if not months, depending on how bad the damage is. It will all be undone in a second if the subconscious starts that program back up. It will undo all that healing in seconds. You have to address the root cause. A lot of you are thinking, oh, I just haven't found the right drug yet. Newsflash, all drugs to treat autoimmune diseases, they're pretty much just different flavors of stimulants. And they're very strong stimulants as well, which come with a ton of side effects. So even if they do somehow, treat your colitis symptoms, well, great, you're going to have a whole bunch of other symptoms come up as well. Only 50% of patients with these drugs have any sort of symptom relief. That's terrible. And only 20% achieve remission. Terrible. Terrible results. If you go the modern medicine route, how much are your autoimmune symptoms going to cost you over 2 years? Going to the doctor, it's going to be $10, $25 a trip in gas and just maintenance on your car, $250 every 2 years. Doctor copay, at least $1,000 over the course of 2 years. Medications, at least $5,000 over the course of 2 years. Lost income, way over $3,000. I was making about $80,000 a year, when I worked as a web developer, but all my friends, because they were not dealing with health issues, they were able to focus on their career, they were making $150K a year. And it's just because they could invest more time and energy into their career, and I could not. I had to invest it into my health. And all sorts of tests and procedures like colonoscopies and stuff like that, they will cost you thousands of dollars. So easily over 2 years, it's going to cost you over $10,000 to treat your gut with modern medicine. And you're probably going to be worse. You will probably won't have any symptom relief. It is estimated, this is an old estimation, this number is probably, I got this number like 10 years ago. This is a study from like a while ago. It's probably way more now. But in America, it costs about $18,000 a year in medical costs. In Europe, it's probably around 5,000 euros a year just to treat your condition. And they're not treating it. I don't know what they're doing. They're not treating it. They're not treating the root cause at all whatsoever. You need to treat this now. I know us people with gut issues, we kind of have the frog in boiling water syndrome where, if you just turn up the heat a little bit, little by little, you won't notice that the water's boiling. You're in boiling hot water right now. I've seen people come to me who has unexpectedly had a flare. They were bad for years. They'd be like, it's just, I don't know. I'm not going to take this seriously just yet. They experience a flare. The pain is so bad, they pass out, and they wake up in the hospital. And they're like, "What happened?" And they cut out their colon while the person was unconscious. The longer you wait, the higher the stakes become, the more risks, the more we have to heal the gut and the more we have to rewire the subconscious. The quicker you deal with this, the better. And it would be one thing if these surgeries actually helped the person, experience a better life. But most of the time, here's another study. Good results in doing a J pouch. These people have a good quality of life. They only go 6 times a day. Are you kidding me? 6 times a day? You're supposed to go 3 times, 1 to 3 times a day, 1 to 2 times a day. This is trash results. Trash. 6 times a day if you're lucky. Bad results. That's going to cost you an arm and a leg. And, I probably spent like 5 years doing modern medicine stuff. And one day I realized, it's my fault I'm not getting better. I'm taking advice from an overweight nurse who reeks of smoke. She's handing me candy while I'm waiting for my doctor who's bald, who has bad skin, is not in good health himself. I look to the other patients, in the infusion rooms, and they all look horrible. Why am I expecting to get good results taking advice from sick people who have sick patients? I only have myself to blame. But things weren't much better in the holistic community. I spent even more money trying holistic things, and it just wasn't fair. I was so frustrated that my friends and family, they could go out and if I did this, these people would go out, drink, get drunk, wake up the next morning, go to work, everything was fine. The average person does stuff like this, and they go to work the next day, fine. Maybe they're a little tired. But if I did something like this, I would be out for a week. And I had an easy job. I was a web developer. All I had to do was sit at my desk and press buttons. And I was constantly in and out of the bathroom, super embarrassing. My boss was constantly up my butt, being like, hey man, this needed to be done yesterday. What are you doing? It just wasn't fair. But one year I was able to be super disciplined. I used all my willpower to follow this super boring, bland diet. I put on 10 pounds that year, and I saved up enough vacation time to go home. I was using most of my vacation time to go to the doctor. And when I got there, my mom had all my favorite foods from childhood, which didn't give me issues in childhood. But I was like, you know what? I've been good all year. I should be able to eat these foods. I ate them, and I got super sick. I had lost all 10 pounds that I had gained that year. I couldn't hang out with my family. I was so sick. It was embarrassing. I smelled up the whole house. It was extremely frustrating. Now I eat these foods whenever I want, as much as I want. I have no symptoms. I go on vacation, no symptoms. Eat whatever I want, no symptoms. Just fine. Spend time with friends and family. Just fine. No gut issues. And I started noticing in the holistic, one of my coworkers came up to me one day and they said, Mike, you do all this holistic stuff, but I don't do any of this and I'm much healthier than you. I could beat you in a fight anytime, which is totally true. And I couldn't hear him then, but he was right. I remember I went to this holistic conference, which cost thousands of dollars to go to, between the hotels and feeding myself and buying the ticket. And I remember that they had this perfect loaf of sourdough bread. It was gone through the sourdough for fermentation process to make it easy to digest and, break down the gluten to make it easy to digest. It was 100% organic, so it didn't have any glyphosate on it. It was made out of this ancient wheat grain species, so it wasn't GMO. And, I ate it and I was fine. But then there was tons of people at the conference who had been doing this holistic stuff for decades, and they couldn't eat cake on their birthday. They couldn't eat this they couldn't have dairy from grass-fed cows from people who wrote the book on how to raise cows as holistic as possible. And they couldn't eat bread from the person who writes the book on how to make the most organic, healthy piece of bread in your life. So at some point I realized these holistic people don't know what they're talking about either. You are guaranteed pain for the rest of your life if you don't treat the root cause, which is the subconscious reprogramming we need to do. The traumatic event messed up the subconscious mind, changed some things in the subconscious mind, changed some ones and zeros in the subconscious mind, and we need to fix that. And the only way we can fix that is if I show you certain words and videos and images with my video presentations that change the belief system and change things. The only way I can influence your brain is with talking to you one-on-one or showing you my videos, telling you certain things and showing you certain things that change the mind, that change your mind. I was easily spending $30K a year, getting different education, trying different supplements. This was costing me so much money. You could be spending this money on things you actually enjoy doing, like going on vacation, buying new furniture for your house. And I was just spending it on holistic stuff that was not doing anything for me. You are in quicksand right now. Quicksand's actually very easy to get out of if you know exactly what to do to get out of it. But one wrong move in quicksand, you're at the bottom of the pit real fast. And the same thing applies with gut health. So my 13-day protocol is going to help you through this. It's going to rewire your subconscious mind so you don't have to worry about this at all anymore. I've made it super easy. It's the fastest and most efficient way to heal your gut. No more Russian roulette with every single meal or every time you leave the house. You can eat just like everybody else. My diet is atrocious and I've never felt better. I know exactly what to do to get you better. And the 13-day protocol takes you through that process. So you kind of have two options right now. You could do this the easy way or the hard way. Hopefully by now you believe without a doubt that your gut issues started after a traumatic event. You could try to figure out how to reprogram your subconscious by yourself, or you could just take my 13-day protocol and have me do it for more than half the cost. I have spent tens of thousands of dollars. Even when I discovered it was caused by stress, I have still invested at least $100K in perfecting the craft on how to deal with that as fast as possible to get the best results possible. I've worked on myself. I've worked with close family and loved ones. I've worked with lots of people. I have a ton of experience doing this. I know exactly what your brain needs to hear to get better. But if you're going to research this yourself, it took me, who does this full time, this is my identity. I am Mike, the Heal Your Gut guy. This took me, 2 or 3 years to figure out and a ton of money. Or you could do it in 13 days or less with my 13-day protocol. I've laid it out and made it really simple for you. Easy push button results. Somebody did the holistic route, couldn't eat anything. This year I was able to travel Europe with my girlfriend and we ate whatever we want and I was absolutely fine. No stress, no worry. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. This was the first Thanksgiving I could have in a while where in 10 years I had to take a moment to sit back and really soak things in with the meal today. It truly means a lot to me. I'm so grateful to be able to live a normal life again. I remember the other day I was at a restaurant just eating, I think I was eating dumplings or something. And I just had to made me cry. I was a couple of years ago, I couldn't do this. I'd have been oh, yo, they cooking seed oils. And I was no fun to be around. Nobody wanted to be around me because I was always oh, you eat seed oils? And the person would look back at me and I'd be dude, I'm healthier than you. How dare you tell me what I'm doing isn't healthy? I am much healthier than you. I don't think about my health at all. I am much healthier than you. And you spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on holistic nutbag stuff that do literally nothing. You're still sick. You're still skinny. How dare you tell me what to do to heal your gut? I was no fun to be around when I was on my holistic. Oh, that's toxic. That's not organic and it's been sprayed. No girl wanted anything to do with me because I was just literally so annoying. It's literally a step-by-step checklist for fixing your gut. I'm American. I like to make things efficient and easy and fast. The first section is about learning the basic about what your body is actually doing and what your mind is doing. My favorite section is on what your mind is doing. Guys, in my public content, I'm only sharing about 10% of the information you need to get better. I am holding back. I hate to say it. It makes me feel a little guilty, but all the good information is inside my 13-day protocol. Food isn't causing your gut issues. I know you react to certain foods but due to the trauma, but I do share with you the perfect human diet and the best diet you can follow if you do want to follow that. And, how to turn off all these food phobias and food intolerances that you have. Usually happens by like day 3 or day 7. And then in one section, I'm going to show you how to reprogram your subconscious and then some subconscious trauma relief techniques. So that's what's inside the program. But, this is a lot of money to invest in, for information. Guys, this information is the best investment of your life. I don't know how much. I think I paid either $20,000 or $30,000 to go to school, and I literally do not use any of my college schooling at all. The other day I went out with my girlfriend. We bought food, we bought lunch, we bought groceries, we bought some stuff for the house. Easily spent over $500, and it was just on normal stuff. What is in my 13-day protocol will change your life for the rest of your life. This is the best investment of your life right here. My 13-day protocol. You can't, even if you have a ton of money, you can't even enjoy your money if you have bad gut health. How much is it going to cost over 10 years? It's easily going to cost $60,000 over 10 years to manage your gut health, the modern medicine or the holistic medicine way. You could buy a super nice car or put a down payment on a very nice house with that type of money. And again, if you invest in some of the most expensive holistic healing gut health courses out there, I've been doing your program perfectly to the letter for 2 years, and I can't have pizza in Italy, and I can't have pasta in Italy, I can't have croissants in France. That's nonsense, man. Day 3, day 7, you could be doing that in my protocol, eating whatever you want. So to do this with me one-on-one, it's $5,000. But normally, it's $1,000 just to get the videos in the workbook. But I'm going to do a very special deal right now for $500 for $497 or 3 payments of $197, and that's in US dollars right here. And you will get instant access to this. But I'm also going to put in some bonuses, but only if you buy within the next 24 hours. Bonus number 1 is over 100 hours of me doing sessions with people so you could see how, I rewire people's subconscious mind to get better. And there's also going to be videos on how to treat any disease so you can apply the 13-day protocol to any disease. That's a priceless value. And there's also a lot of people I work with, a lot of their issues stem from, romantic drama. So a lot of attraction is based off of subconscious triggers that attract and subconscious triggers that repulse. The yuck, he does that. That's a subconscious trigger that, even us men and us and women can't articulate. Why don't you like him? He seems like such a nice guy. He has a good job. He has a nice body. Why don't you? I don't know. Something feels off. I'm going to help you know what those things are, so we're not shooting ourselves in the foot in our love life. I have an unpublished book, and it's not going to be available anytime soon, but a lot of people seem to like it, so yeah, that's going to be available to you as well. And then I also have a Nutrition 101 course. It's better than a $5,000 dietary registered dietitian certificate you could get at a university. It's such a simple subject, nutrition. What foods have more nutrients and what food is chemically easier to digest. It's literally basic math. I don't know how how people have made it so complicated, but I really simplify it down. You will never have a nutrition question in your life ever again just taking this course. You're going to get the education video and the workbook. You're going to get the bonus, the sessions, the recorded sessions. You're going to be able to treat any condition with my 13-day protocol. You're going to get the Attraction 101 bonus. You'll get, my unpublished book in ebook format, and you're also going to get my Nutrition 101 course easily over a $10,000 value for just $497. Within the first month, this will save you at least $500. Most of you are spending hundreds of dollars a month on different supplements and different remedies, and which aren't gonna do anything. Sometimes they make the problem worse. You are going to see a return on your money instantly within the first month, if not the first week, because right now you're probably spending hundreds of dollars on all sorts of things that don't work. Think about over the next decade of your life, how this will easily save you tons and tons of money, depending on your life situation. Over a decade, it will easily save and, bring value into your life and just make your life more enjoyable. These are just some numbers that, when you sit, and you might not realize it at first, but when you sit down and you start to see like where your money went, you're like, man, I've spent $1,000 on skincare products this year and I still have acne. What's going on here? Imagine being able to go on vacation, go to Italy and enjoy the pizza, not have to worry about where the closest bathroom is, not worry about if you're going to react to the pizza, enjoy the pasta, all that stuff. You'll have money to upgrade the latest tech, the newest smartphone, the newest laptop or TV, upgrade your gaming PC if you're a gamer nerd like me, buy nice furniture in your house, buy nice shoes and clothes. You need to address this now. Your gut health is super important. Your health is super important. You can't even enjoy, watching a movie at home with popcorn when you have gut health issues. Quicksand is very easy. Gut health issues are very easy to fix when you know how to rewire the subconscious. But one wrong move, it's not so pretty. This guy, 14 years of symptoms gone using my 13-day protocol. You will have instant access to these videos. Again, here's a value breakdown. These bonuses are only if you sign up within the next 24 hours. You won't get these bonuses if you wait another 24 hours. But the only way to lose right now is not to join. If you will not figure this information out by yourself. The things that I had to do to get this information are insane. I bought books in other languages and had to take pictures of every single page and run them through Google. I did insane things to put this information together to get better. This is not mainstream information. It is hidden behind paywalls. It's so hard to get, but I've made it very easy and available for you. Imagine going out with friends and family, going on vacation with friends. You're missing out right now on so many priceless memories with friends and family because you can't leave your house and you can't enjoy normal foods. This person was taking 20 pills a day, tried all sorts of diets, didn't get better until I got better with my 13-day protocol. This person had IBS. Now he eats whatever he wants. This person said his gut pain went away literally the next day. This person got better in 2 weeks and eats whatever he wants. Arthritis, gain weight. The course is so easy. When I did like a testimonial with this person, I couldn't use the testimonial because his English was so bad. I couldn't understand a word he was saying. He took my course, barely understanding English, and was able to use that information to get better. That's how easy the information is in this course. No more going to the hospital. This person was 3 days away from getting their colon removed and having to wear a bag of poop for the rest of their life. Now they're better. Constipation's gone, bloating's gone, SIBO's gone, blood and mucus and stool is gone, flare-ups are gone for good. He makes more money now, but even all the money in the world wouldn't fix his problems until he rewired his subconscious. C. diff is gone, anemia is gone, having nice skin, acne and eczema gone, dermatitis gone. If you have money in your bank account and you're like, oh, I don't spend money, you know, this money right now is rotting away in your bank account. Inflation is so bad right now. Like it's amazing. You've seen it. You know, I grew up spending $1 for, you know, a McDonald's hamburger. I remember paying $1 for, now it's like freaking $5 for like a freaking hamburger. Your money is slowly rotting away in your bank account. Money only has value if it's spent. And this is by far the best investment you will ever make. Monetarily, you're saving thousands of dollars on remedies that don't work. You're saving yourself from hours and hours and hours of doing research and just pain and suffering that doesn't address the root cause. This purchase of the 13-day protocol will improve your life in every way, shape, and form. And so here is a value breakdown one more time. It's just $497, or the 3 easy payments of $197 over 3 months. And you have instant access to these videos. You can pay with PayPal. You know, we accept all sorts of credit cards and stuff like that. And once the payment goes through, literally the next second, you are taken to this page. You put in your email, you put in your password, and you log in, and you could be binge watching videos that will change your life forever. And it also works on mobile. So guys, you won't see this offer again. This only is going to last for like 24 hours. This guy says, Mike's 13-day protocol, I'm rating it up from a scale from 1 to 0, 1 being bad and 10 being the best. I'm going to give it a 1 million. It has been so helpful, and he's put in so much research to help me get better. So helpful. There you guys have it. This is, if I had to get better from, my gut issues, this is exactly what I would do to get better. The longer you wait, you need to address this now. The longer you wait, the more healing your gut has to do. The more the trauma gets buried in the subconscious, so it's more work to rewire your subconscious. The longer you wait, the more you run the risk of having a flare that puts you in the hospital and is going to cost you thousands of dollars and be extremely painful. The quicker you act, you need to act now. The quicker you act now. Buy this now. Literally today. Literally by the end of the next couple of days, you could be eating any food that you want without symptoms. Any food. Fixing food intolerances. Do you know how good it was to eat a croissant after 5 years of being on a gluten-free diet? It was insane. You know how good pizza tastes after 5 years of being on a gluten-free diet? It tastes really, really, really good. I want you to be able to have that experience too. And my 13-day protocol easily give you that experience to enjoy your favorite foods, not have to worry about where the bathroom is, not have to worry about unexpected gut pain. This program, this 13-day protocol will give you your life back. So enroll now.
Yeah, before I brought Mike the Heroic Gut Guy's Guide, my stomach was just disgusting. I was having clawing feeling, pain, inflammation, Crohn's level inflammation really high, diarrhea every day. And within 3 months, I'm completely 100% better. Yeah, I put on 15 pounds, feeling amazing.
Was diagnosed with Crohn's and diverticulitis, 30 days in and out of hospitals, racked up some incredible medical bills in that time period. I was bleeding, diarrhea, vomiting for months, this close from surgery. They wanted to put me on Remicade shots. My GI doctor, after my colonoscopy, said that I had one of the worst colons he's ever seen. I lost a ridiculous amount of weight, standing at 6'1", being about 110, 115 pounds. I was losing my hair. And so to be here today, health at a healthy weight and with no symptoms whatsoever, it's a huge blessing. And
proctitis, it went to ulcerative colitis and pain the whole colon. I was diagnosed with histamine intolerance too, so I couldn't eat anything. I'm just poop blood every single day. I had it was so bad. I weighed like 35 kilograms, but I'm pretty happy right now where I am. I just want to thank you, like I said,
8 times a day, I have to go to the bathroom. It was either pure blood or pink mucus every time. I was afraid to leave the house. And anytime I left the house, I was thinking of like, where's the nearest bathroom? I can't do anything for more than an hour. And anytime I rode my motorcycle, my stomach was bothering me. And I was like, man, I can't even enjoy riding. It was awful. It was so terrible.
And that's going to antagonize the conflict because now you can't work and talk to girls because your symptoms.
That's another thing too, right? I can't go on dates. I can't date this quality woman that I want in my life, because how can you date someone when you have to go to the bathroom 8 times a day? I was afraid to leave the house because I had to know where the nearest bathroom was. Now that doesn't even cross my mind. It's all because of your program. So always forever grateful to you, Mike.
Here's another student, Sophia, who had horrible eczema on her hands.
Yeah, so I had dermatitis on my hand for about 7 years in total.
Wow.
I tried everything to heal it because I always kind of felt, I didn't want to admit it, but there's something going on mentally that has to be triggering this. It went away after our first session, like literally that week.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Probably a year of no symptoms on the carnivore diet.
Yeah, and you had a very stress-free life at that time too.
And then I returned back to my old life of full-time corporate work. And I think within a month, all my symptoms had come back. And I was running to the bathroom upwards of 6 times, sometimes 8 times a day.
And that was even when you were doing carnivore.
Yeah, I was eating the same thing, which really puzzled me. It's been really cool to just be able to eat most things that I haven't eaten in a long time.
He's got milk right there.
I was just thinking earlier this morning that I've had more burgers in the last 2 weeks than I've had in the last probably 10 years. And then the other thing that I've really gotten back into, which never thought would happen, was milkshakes, like actual full dairy milkshake. It's a real gift to be able to walk out the house and know that I could eat anything anywhere.
My doctors told me, hey, so I remember you came in here last year telling me you had a bleeding and you had ulcerative colitis and stuff. How are you about that? And I was like, oh, it's gone.